Hi and welcome. We are live. It is Wednesday, and more importantly, it is Wellness Wednesday. I am Lauren Baptiste, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Like every session we'll be doing from now until infinity, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, I'll be providing a mini class for you. And we're going to be spanning topics as it relates to stress, work-life balance, health, vitality, boundaries, you name it, we're talking about it. So join me for this ride. It's been a great month already. We've been in January, and January has been all about stress. And we started with stress because according to Akaloa Wellness, according to the science of Ayurveda, stress is where it begins. Stress is the root cause of what is going on. So let's get started because we got to get this mini class going. And today is a really important topic. So if you don't know, today we're talking about whether you need to quit your job in order to be happy. So take that in for a minute, because whether you're listening to this live, whether you're watching on the replay, there's a chance you're listening to this maybe because you're feeling a little bit of stress, maybe because there's a little bit of uncertainty, maybe something's going on. So if you're here, give yourself this moment to be here fully. So let's start with a little bit of a visualization. So if you're at your office, you might not feel comfortable closing your eyes, but maybe you can swivel your chair and look down at the ground. Maybe wherever you are, you could just take a moment for yourself. This is an opportunity for you to check in. So in order to even talk about whether or not to quit your job, generally there needs to be this feeling of, I'm not happy where I am. So I want you to really sit with that for just a moment. And it's really easy to try to push it under the rug or just go from one email, one moment to the next. But this is a moment to really ground into this feeling. So if you're feeling that your workplace is overwhelming, if you're feeling that it's bringing out not the best version of yourself, if you feel that you're losing your health, your vitality, your essence just by working, it's really important to tune in. So take a couple of breaths, close your eyes, and really feel into what your job, your career, your work is doing for you, but what it might be doing to you. So taking a few breaths, maybe even jotting down a few notes, and always opportunity to share with me on the message board, but this is a really private topic, so I don't necessarily expect anything just today, but that's okay because I know you're listening and I know you're here. So while you're doing that, let me remind you, if we haven't met before, or who I am or what I do. So my name is Lauren Baptiste, and I'm the CEO and founder of Akaloa Wellness. My firm empowers ambitious, hardworking, soulful individuals to overcome what they're dealing with in their life so that they can thrive. So generally, we're working through stress and overwhelm so that we can feel great. And so I've created programs, I do coaching, and I do consulting in organizations so that we can start to change the paradigm of stress in the workplace and change it from a majority to a minority and hopefully a non-existent one of these days. I bring a background of a host of different things, but one of the primary tools that I use is the science of Ayurveda, which is a 5,000-year-old science. And next month is all about Ayurveda, which I'm really excited about. But I do I am learned in other modalities that help bring this to you. So my experience besides that is I have over 10 years of working experience in corporate America. I know what it's like to work 80-hour weeks. I know what it's like to have intense deadlines. I know what it's like to lose my body, lose my relationships, my confidence, my everything for my job. So it was my mission, it is my mission to bring this gift to you so that wherever you are in your life, you have an opportunity to break through. So let's get into it. All right. So as you were thinking through these notes, maybe you're starting to feel into this place where you are in your life, where you're feeling maybe a little bit of heaviness. And so the question I pose to you once again is, do you need to quit your job to be happy? And so many clients that I speak to, prospective clients, whether I'm doing speaking events, wherever I am, I hear all the time that they need to leave their job, right? They come to me and it's like, okay, everything is maybe a disaster, and they're like, you know what, I got to leave my job. That's just the only path I have. And so if you're feeling like that, I hear you, I feel you, you're not alone, right? We're all kind of experiencing this. But before you hand in your resignation letter, I ask you to wait just a minute. And maybe after listening, even for this 20-minute session, you'll feel different. Maybe you'll feel that you have another option before throwing it all away. So many clients I work with spend decades to build a kingdom. And by their kingdom, it can mean so many things. It could mean the career, it could mean the home life, the relationships, the material things, whatever it is that they've been striving for years. I see so often that they start to like tear it all down. And so before you tear down your own kingdom, take this moment, because this is really important for you to start to really go where it's a little dark and go into that place. Because before you just throw it all away, before you burn down everything you've created, it's so important that you know that there is an opportunity for you to do something different. And it doesn't have to be so extreme. So today we're going to go through a few tactics of what you can do if you feel like you're at that breaking point. But I also want to disclaim too, as we're getting started, that if you are suffering from any type of workplace abuse, harassment, or anything of the like, that is an immediate yes, you have to quit your job. So just making that really clear, because if you are suffering in any of those types of ways, there is absolutely something you need to do. And so I can give you some resources. Feel free to private message me after this, and I'm happy to put you in some directions if that is the case for you. But I'm going to assume this conversation is not for that subset of individuals. I'm going to assume that generally work just sucks. We're working crazy hours. It's sucking the life out of me. I'm tired. My energy is low. I'm not good with my spouse or my partner. I'm just not who I want to be. So that's where we're going today. So hopefully that's clear. But at any point, of course, feel free to add on the message board any questions. I will be answering them. So as they come up at any point, feel free to ask. So now, if you're feeling like, okay, I didn't say yes to that first question, then we start to move into the second question. What is it that you need to be happy? And so we're not going to answer this in 20 minutes, but I would love for you to write it down so that you can come back to it, because this is where the work begins. Before we do the whole thing of quitting my job, I want you to know a little bit about me as well. So I had been in corporate at the time for about 5 years when I had my own personal burnout episode. I've been working crazy nights. I've been eating crappy food. My body was deteriorating. I was hating everything about everything of my job and my life. And I decided I was going to quit. But before that happened, I actually ended up in a hospital because my body decided to quit on me. So when I was I literally hit my rock bottom. I ended up in a hospital. It was incredibly embarrassing. I didn't tell anyone for over a year, not even my family. It was a really sad and scary and lonely point in my life. And the reason I share this is because I don't want anyone to get there. I also want you to know that there is like a lot that can be done, right, that we're talking about between that place and now. And so why I bring up that story is because although I wanted to quit my job, I actually did not quit. And why is that? Because I knew that if I left this one job, there was a good chance that this would happen again, because my personality had no boundaries at the time. I said yes to everyone and I did everything, and I put myself last always. And so that had its toll. That literally had the toll of taking me to the hospital. So in that first question that we're talking about, that first journal prompt, what do you need to be happy? But the second prompt is, what is the cost of you staying at your current job? Is there a good chance that what you have now would still exist if you went to another job? So for what you can do after this, or as we're speaking right now, is think about the cost, not just financial of my salary and comparing salary and numbers, but what's the cost of staying to my physical body? For me, I had broken out and I had adult acne on my face, my neck, my back. I also had hives. I also had burning red eyes because I was staring at a screen for 15 hours a day. I was suffering from spurts of depression. So start to know what is the physical cost of staying in your job, but then go deeper. What is the cost mentally, emotionally, physically we talked about, but your relationships, right? Are you spending time with ones you love, or are you giving them the cold shoulder because you're so tired and overwhelmed? What's the cost on your health, your spirit, right? There are all these buckets that are so important, but if we don't realize the cost of what this job is doing to us, it's hard to make a real decision of whether or not I need to leave. I ask you before you take this jump to add a little bit of this rationality, because when you're ready to jump, you're going to be so certain, you're going to know. And so that's why I'm not telling you not to quit. I'm not telling you that it's not important, but I'm telling you to think it through. Because once you leave, it could be hard to come back. And there is no guarantee that this next job is going to be any better. How does that sit? Maybe that's bad. Maybe that feels like I'm bringing doom and gloom. That is not my intention, but it's to be really real. And so when I went through my struggle, I was by myself. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I needed to learn something for myself. So this is my invitation to you, is to really start to dig in. Is what's happening to you, could it be something that's happening for you? And think about that. So it's so easy to say, oh, what's happening to me is that I'm overwhelmed and I have a bad boss and I have coworkers who don't value me. And well, what if maybe I'm not setting my boundaries well? And by not doing so, I'm actually then being taken advantage of. And not because anybody means to, but because I allow for it. So it's really important in this moment to start to hold a mirror to ourselves, to take some responsibility for our personal happiness, because we spend most of our day, every single day, at our job. So if we don't even like what we're doing, or if we're overwhelmed by the people around us, can we change those? I can say personally, I had clients that I did not enjoy working with, and I implemented these 3 techniques that I'm going to share with you very shortly, and it changed my entire relationship. It made me feel better. Instead of hating this person, I started to see them for the human that they were. I started to appreciate them. And over time, we became really close, because there's then that human to human aspect that really is a game changer in how I felt about these people that were bringing me stress and overwhelm, but also how I could approach myself and hold myself to the highest standard in my own values and boundaries. So let's do it. So we have our journal questions, we have our place to reflect after this. But let's see what we could do about it today, because I know that when we're thinking about those questions, they could be really hard to answer. But I have 3 things that you can do about it today, so that before you quit your job, can you invite more happiness? So that you can really feel, is it my job? Is it me? Is it something else? So let's do it. How does that sound? Let's go right into it. 3 things that we could do before we make that big old jump. So these are all mindset techniques. A lot of times I go into physical techniques. A lot of times I'll be talking about certain stress stats or things like that. But today we're talking about the mind, because the mind is what's creating the circumstances around us. There could be 2 people standing right next to each other, and one person sees it as an opportunity and the other one sees it as a trap or something else, right? And that could be how we are in our workplace. So it doesn't always mean that everyone is suffering and overwhelmed and angry. It might just be, that's how I'm feeling. So the first technique, and this is a really strong one. It sounds simple, but I'm going to challenge you. The first technique is to see the best in others and let them know it. How good are we in seeing the worst in others and telling everybody else about it, right? Like, be a little honest, right? Workplace gossip, gossip in general. It's so easy to find fault in others, too easy. So today the opportunity is, how can I shift that? Because if I can speak better of people, if I could speak better of myself, then all of a sudden I'm not abusing the senses of the ears and the tongue. All of a sudden, I'm actually healing myself and feeling better in my body. And we'll talk about this more next month when we go into Ayurveda. But we're starting to feel good just by saying great things. So it starts really simply. See the best in others of those that you like and let them know it. I really appreciate all of you for being here today. I'm so grateful that you could be part of this conversation, and I'm letting you know it, and it feels good. Now, the next step in that, right, is to see the best in those that challenge you and also let them know it. Thank you for sending me that work email. I appreciate you staying late. I appreciate whatever that might be. So seeing the best in others and letting them know it will flip the switch from seeing the worst. So let's try it. How does it sound? Number one, it's a really strong one. It's simple, but it's profound. Do it. I promise you, you will feel an impact, a difference. Number two, be grateful and take a daily tally of your blessings. So being grateful. I've worked with clients in relationships, and just by sharing a daily gratitude, it has brought a couple that I was working with from almost on the verge of divorce or breakup to love and togetherness. And so it's really powerful here. When we talk about being grateful, right, we think about it on Thanksgiving only, but we should be grateful for every moment, for every day, for every opportunity. Because if anybody's been watching the news, think about how many things are happening in the world right now. And the fact that you're even watching this right now is a privilege, is such a gift that you can spend your time to invest in your health. What a gift. So being grateful for this moment, for every moment, and even on the worst of moments is really where the work starts and continues. So first, see the best in others and let them know it. Number two, be grateful. Number three, let's go there right now. Be tolerant. So this is what I get. This is like the scenario I get from clients I speak with all the time. Well, this happened. I was really angry. These other things happened. I was still angry, but I was tolerant, and I'm tolerant, but then I explode on that person at some point. I explode to my boss. I explode to HR. I just let it out because I had been tolerant for so long, and I just can't hold it anymore. What's my ask to you? Be more tolerant. Be even more tolerant. So even if you feel like you're going to explode, figure out a way to work through it. Go to a yoga class, go to a boxing class, like do what you need to get it out, but don't explode in a way that isn't of service to you. That doesn't really make you feel good, because just because we let it out, that doesn't always mean it's coming out in a way that's productive, in a way that's that could even be causing harm, right? And that's not good either. So if you're gonna subscribe to being tolerant, really hold to it, honor it. These three lessons I've learned from one of my teachers, and even in practicing it in a year period, it's changed my life. And so I want to change your life. I wanted to offer these to you. They're really simple ways that before you take the plunge, before you write that resignation letter, before you start talking to recruiters, can you just do these three simple things? I invite you to do this for the next month, right? And if that feels like a long time, I invite you to do this for the next day. See how far you can get before you start to think the worst of someone. See how far you get before you complain about something. Attitude is everything. So especially today when we're talking about quitting jobs and moving around, be grateful that you have a job, right? Be grateful for all that you have. And we talked about what's the cost of staying in that job. It's also a good opportunity to ask, what is this job giving for you in a positive way? So this is it. We went through 3 things that you can do about your happiness in terms of your job. I would love to hear your feedback. Every week, I will be sharing different facets of health as it relates to feeling great and feeling empowered and inspired so that you can thrive. So this is our weekly Wellness Wednesday. And my name is Lauren Baptiste. It's an honor and a pleasure to offer this to you every single week. I would love to stay connected. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, where all the social medias are. So am I. So if you have any questions, I'm here to serve you in any way that I can. If you feel that you're beyond the point of your job, or if you're feeling really overwhelmed and burnt out, reach out. I'm happy to provide you some resources or send you in the right direction so that you can feel great. But that's it. That's today's session, and I hope to see you very soon. Sending you my best for an incredible day. I can't wait to see you next week. Talk soon. Bye.